Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to Celebrating Black Literacy. It is Wednesday. I was getting ready to say Friday. Where am I? It is Wednesday, September 8th, and we are live and we are excited because it has been a long time coming. Like I know some of you have probably been, excuse me, some of you have probably been wondering where has Celebrating Black Literacy been, because we were going strong every Wednesday, right? We took a break to revamp and get some other aspects or areas of Celebrating Black Literacy underway, which now we have taken Celebrating Black Literacy on the road. So all of those things, took so much of our attention, and I did not want to put the authors in a situation where they would not get the attention that they needed and things would be inconsistent and all of those things. So we are back. We are back. We are back. And it just feels so good. I'm so glad to be here tonight with you. I'm so glad for you to tune in. So Celebrating Black Literacy airs every Wednesday night here live on Facebook. I am your host, Manisha King with the King's Press LLC. We are a family-owned publishing company in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we are dedicated to uplifting Black voices. We create platforms for the unsung heroes, the voiceless, and the invisible. So people would like to think. It's not exactly true in terms of anybody being invisible, but we create visibility in a way that you can feel good, the audience feels good, the guest feels good, and it's just an amazing time. So it feels really great to be back with you. And I thank you for tuning in. And I'm also going to ask you, as always, if you would take a moment to share this video, invite your friends, invite your family. So the King's Press LLC, again, is a family-owned publishing company, and we're always looking to promote authors. So if you are an author or you know someone that is an author that would love to be interviewed, you can send them our way, www.kingspresspublishing.com. And maybe they're not quite an author yet, but maybe they have aspirations and want to write, have stories to tell. Everybody does, but just don't know kind of like how to get it off the ground or what to do, what steps to take. Well, we're here, I should say, for those individuals as well, because we are, again, a publishing company. So we help you with publishing services from A to Z. In addition to a host of other services we provide, but it's all about, empowering our communities, stressing the importance of literacy, and just being unified as a people. So again, if you're here tonight, we don't take it for granted. We appreciate you. If you've been supporting us in any way, shape, or form, we always appreciate you. If you're going to share this video and you're going to stick around, we appreciate you. We want you to engage with the authors. We have amazing authors for you on tonight's show, and we want you to engage with them. We want you to make them feel recognized, appreciated. So please leave your questions, your comments, all of those things, and we will make sure that I will make sure anyway that I'm doing my best for them to know that you are right here with us. So far, what we're going to do, I can't see, it doesn't look like, oh, I want to shut this down. So it looks like a few are already tuned in. Thank you again on this lovely Wednesday evening. I hope you had a great day. Hopefully you had some great news, some great things happen for you today. And if not, it's not too late. The day is still continuing. So thank you for being here. Without belaboring any longer, I'm going to bring on our fabulous authors for tonight's show. So they are waiting patiently in the waiting room, and it is now time to bring them back on. Let's see. It's been so while. I'm like, oh, here we are. It's been a while, y'all. I'm so excited. All right. Hello, hello. I should have brought back in. Yes, awesome. Hi, ladies. Welcome back. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate it. So we are live on Facebook, and now is the time where each one of you lovely ladies will introduce yourself to our audience. So we'll go ahead first with Miss Sharice.
Hello, everyone. Hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Sharice Johnson Moore, your hope builder, lifting you out of your sorrow by guiding you to see the Christ within through scripture and practical applications. Hello, everyone. It is nice to be here. Hello, Miss King. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well, thank you. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate the light that you are sharing, giving to others. That's so wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Our next author.
Hi, I'm Krishana Dupree. I am from Bladensburg, North Carolina. I am a spoken word poet and also an advocate for mental health issues, and it's nice to be here.
It's a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for being here this evening.
Hello, everybody. I am Tracy Daniel Hardy. I am a public K-12 educator in South Mississippi. I also am a novice author, I guess you can say, and I've just started a column in a local magazine. And thank you, Miss Manisha, for having us here today.
You're very welcome, and I'm so excited about what all of you are doing. It is a pleasure for you to be here, and I just can't wait to hear more about your work. So let's go ahead, Sharice, tell us about your book and your work this evening.
My book is entitled Coming to Loving Yourself. It is an inspirational autobiography book, and I speak about the certain things that us young ladies go through while growing up, as going through childhood, adulthood, things like that. And some of the topics I pick, we think of them as taboo to talk about. And and it's just it deals with it deals with an aspect of your life that no one wants to actually give you acknowledgement about the things that we've dealt with in our life. But now that we adults, we see that there is a purpose that we talk about these things with our other young ladies coming behind us. With the act, the how you say, opening up, the freeing of the mind, the spirit, and the soul. Because some of the things that we are hanging on to are just holding us back from pursuing what God has asked us to do. And my book is, it speaks about my life, and I want to share that. And I at first, when I wrote the book, it was about money. But God said, no, the book is not about money. It's not about that. It's about freeing the souls that you're speaking about with the issues that you dealt with in life. And you're helping. And that's what I got to understand. When God says, time to share your story so you can help somebody else, deliver somebody else from the kind of bondage that they may be going through, like a drug addiction, or they might have dealt with childhood abuse, or they dealt with not loving themselves enough, and nobody taught them how to love themselves, and what we go through in our childhood affects us in our adulthood. And some of us women, we don't understand why we're going through these things, because we have not set ourselves free from those things that hold us in bondage.
Wow. So thank you for being brave enough to cover those topics and to shed light on those things. And I know we'll get a little bit more into it, but without you giving a lot of it away, can you tell us a bit of, so just maybe one topic that is, relevant to your life that you shared in this book that was a taboo for women, or that is tabooed for women?
I'm gonna say sexual abuse.
Okay.
And
All right.
sex. We don't as women we're not taught. We're taught to be quiet. We're taught to just don't say nothing, don't tell nobody nothing, don't mention it, don't bring it up, or live a life in denial, like this happened to you, but you can't say nothing to anybody.
Wow.
And the thing is it's time to speak up. It's time to share your story, and you don't know whose soul you gonna save with your story.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I wrote that. Why I wrote this book. So
awesome. And I know that there's so many that can relate to that. There are people on the chat even now that said, let's talk. We're ready. So thank you, April, for tuning in. Let me see who else we have on here. Hold on, I'm still putting a couple groups in there, so I'll get back. But thank you to everybody that's tuned in. And once again, thank you, Sharice, for letting us know a bit about your book. We're going to go on now to Miss Kashana Dupree.
All right. So I just published my second poetry book in August, and it is entitled Mentally Unstable, but at least I'm funny. And it's a collection of poetry that touches on things that I've dealt with that I know that other people can relate to. It also heavy hits on mental illness because, as I said, I am an advocate for mental health awareness because it's something that is swept under the rug. Like mental health funding has been cut severely, and people can't get the help that they deserve and that they need, and they're just going through life thinking, I'm not okay, but that's just the way I am. And I kind of wanted to be the voice to say, this is the way you are, but it is okay to get help. It is okay to talk
about it. Wow. So thank you. And so a lot of your poems, did I hear you correctly that your poems are related to mental health issues?
Yes, ma'am.
And I love that title, I'm not okay, but at least I'm funny. Am I saying that right?
Yes, ma'am. Mentally unstable, but at least I'm funny.
Okay, mentally unstable. Look, I done made something. My apologies. But mentally unstable, but at least I'm funny. How many of us mask what's really going on with jokes?
Right.
And a lot of times that's an easy defense mechanism. And the reality of it is when we need the mental help, the counseling, the therapy, the support, even our families, just to say, I see you, I understand you're going through something, it's oftentimes not there. So thank you for being a young lady and, taking this mission on. I appreciate you for that. And I'm waiting to hear so much more about it.
Absolutely.
Yes. Last but not least, Dr. Tracy Daniel Hardy.
All right. So the book that I'm talking about today is Shut 'Em Down, Black Women, Racism in Corporate America. And Sharice mentioned that it's time to speak up, and that's exactly what we're doing in this book. This book features 20 women and their traumatic stories, women who have suffered abuse and trauma on their jobs, at the hands of their coworkers or their bosses, or even in some cases, other Black women. This book is an anthology, and it is composed of 20 stories of the Black women that I talked about who have been impacted by racism and sexism in the workplace. It's a conversation starter, hopefully that we can stop just talking about this around the water cooler or in our offices in the corner, that we can speak up and speak out about this without being afraid of the backlash. And if we come together, and support one another, then our voice and our complaints, our voices will be stronger, our complaints will be heard and taken seriously. But I also want to tie in to what Ms. Kashana was saying, about mental health. That's something that we're talking more openly and honestly about also in this book, because there are traumatic stories of abuse in here, that we have some mental health professionals who also weigh in and offer us, the co-authors here, as well as the readers, some resources and some tips and, just ways to deal with what we're dealing with, whether it's racism, sexism, or just abuse in general. We have that in this book as well. So we're excited about what it can do for all women of color, specifically Black women. And we hope that it can be empowering and uplifting to those who have felt, suppressed and humiliated in the workforce, whether it's corporate America, in the education arena, like I'm in, or anywhere.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. That book is so necessary. And I know prior to us getting started, you and I were able to talk a little bit about that. And I'm grateful to all of the women who took part in this. My question to you, as you've experienced, and I'm sure, you've went through other authors' accounts, what is one thing that you would suggest or recommend, or how we can, in a unified way, speak out against this?
Well, first of all, we have to believe each other, and we can talk all day about what would cause one not to believe another woman, but sometimes it's just the view of it happening. I'm sitting here living it, and you're sitting on the outside watching it, and you may see something that I'm feeling, and then you may think that it's less severe than what I'm expressing. But we have to be our allies and say, okay, I didn't feel that. I don't know the context of it, but I'm here to support you, sister. How can I help you? How can I help you overcome this? How can I help even to protect you while protecting myself? Because what I found is that if it's happening to you, it has or will or is happening to somebody else as well. And that person could be next. And so we have to believe each other. We have to understand the context, because there could have been some meeting before the meeting, or some side conversation, or some little nasty emails or phone calls that exacerbated the problem that now is seen in public, that doesn't seem like that is that big of a deal. So that's one way that I would suggest that we can help each other.
Okay. And thank you for that. And as I'm thinking, as you were speaking, and you were talking about, it was something that you said that made me think about Sharice, and how she's saying, speaking out, sometimes people don't believe you. So in the workplace, when you're speaking out against injustice and, a racism, so you're not being heard, or you're not believed. So also what she's saying, sexual abuse, you may be speaking out, or you may be trying to tell someone, and you're not, you're still not taken seriously, or people are questioning, people are doubting you. What are some things that, and this is open to anyone, how would you suggest we, just people in general, take the time to really honor and respect others' experiences, and not just dismiss it, or act like it doesn't exist, or it's not real? What would you say to that?
Well, I would say to write. I say write your journals, write your, you don't have to publish the journal. You could just take your little, notebook and write down your experience, and because writing frees the mind. Sometimes we got so much stuff going on in our heads that we have to write everything down. And I think that helped me when I was younger.
Okay.
I used to write when I write. I just sit there and write and put all these thoughts on paper and stuff. And if you want, I suggest to a woman that feels that way that you write down your encounters. You write down your encounters. Write down, okay, well, such day, such said blah blah blah, and write it down. And I mean, or if it's happening in the workplace, if it's happening in the workplace that we are accosted with the little comments and the little innuendos, and write it down. And if you take, and I would also say, all right, go share it with HR. Go share it with HR. Tell somebody. Don't sit there and take that abuse. I mean, we sometimes we get so caught up in, I don't want to lose my paycheck. Excuse me, I need my self-respect. I mean, let's keep it real. Yeah. I want my self-respect, and you're gonna respect me. You are gonna respect me whether you like it or not. And sometimes that calls for you to step away from that job. Okay, if you're going through that, all right, okay, put the plan in, make it plain, write it down, make it plain, as they say in the Bible, and make it plain, and you turn around and you find somewhere else to work at. It's always, or if you, I that's my opinion.
Thank you. Any other suggestions? Go ahead.
I would like to say, it's hard to do this, but try to stick to the facts. Because we are sometimes or oftentimes accused of being angry Black women. And sometimes rightfully so, because, things are said to us and done to us that make us angry. However, and it's hard to do, it's been hard for me to do in some instances as well, but we have to stick to the facts and do just like Cherie said, document that stuff. I have notebooks and I share, I take notes while it's happening. Sometimes I come back when I haven't had time to take notes while it was happening, and I document it before I forget it. And then I can go back and read it and add to it. And then, if people know that you're documented, they'll start saying, go on and write it down in that little journal, go on and write it down. And they know that you're meticulous about writing and meticulous about keeping emails, and which would be evidence of those microaggressions that Charisse is talking about. That's going to help justify that complaint that you're going to take to HR. Is going to help prove a pattern of abuse and mistreatment of a class of people or class of women, and that might be helpful. The journaling and the writing down is also therapeutic.
Thank you both. Question for you, Kashana. If the younger version of yourself read your book, what do you think would be the most impactful for her?
I think if the younger me read my book, she would be absolutely proud of me that I overcame a lot of things that I thought were going to end me. When I was younger, I suffered from clinical depression, but I didn't know that's what it was. I just knew that I was sad and I wanted a way out. And I didn't really think about my future. I didn't really think I'm going to make it to 26, 27 years old, because like everything felt like it was on my shoulders. So I feel like the younger me would say, oh, we got through it, we grew from it, and we became a better person because of it. We became a great mother because of it. And she would absolutely be proud.
Awesome. Great. So those that are tuned in, some comments that I'm seeing. So April said, laughter's a universal healer. It's a release. Shelly, hi, Mom. She said, so true. And wow, overcoming this. That was just what one of you were sharing, that she's overcoming. And if you could be more specific in the chat to tell us what you're referring to, so that I can let these ladies know. Hey, Maureen and Renee Anderson Jackson. And she said, and Shelly Sly says, love the energy. It is definitely great being among such great women. So as we're continuing, was it really hard when you sat down and you started writing? Did you see the end, or did you feel like this was going to be something that I will probably start, stop? And how was the process? So that's twofold. What did you see as far as your writing process? Did you see yourself completing it, or did you think you would start and stop? And what was your process like?
So you know that Betty Wright song, when she says that her manager or somebody found the song written in her journal, and she didn't intend for the song to be made into a song. She was just writing about, her very first time. And when they decided to produce the song and they played it for her mom, and her mom said, I know you're not going to write that, I know you're not going to sing that song or play that song or something like that. Betty Wright is one of my favorites. So that's how I felt. I was like, are you really going to tell this story? And then I stopped and I backed up and I said, no, I don't think we're going to tell this story. And then I said, well, it happened.
Mm.
And some of the things happen in front of people. And so there are people who can substantiate it. And I want others to not have to feel that way. I also want others to be empowered to speak up for themselves, to share their stories, so that we can empower younger ladies, so that they don't have to be quiet as long as I was quiet. And learn to, gain that self-respect that Sharice talked about, to recognize those things that may be causing mental health issues, or, keeping it in, that could prevent you from being your true self and being as productive, and so I still find it hard to say that I'm a writer, but I started by using my phone. It's weird, but if I get a moment, when there's some downtime, if I'm eating, a snack or lunch or whatever, then I'm opening that notes app on my phone and I'm typing in something that I thought of, and then later I may expand on it. And then at night, when everything is quiet, then I'll start to write and add transitions and do things like that. And so I found that if I don't have a formal process sitting at a desk in front of a computer or at a desk with my paper and pencil, I write with paper and pencil often as well, that I am a little more creative that way. And then I can just, share that information in a Google Doc or a Word doc, and then start some editing that way. So my process is probably very untraditional, but I had to share the fact that I was very hesitant about sharing my story. And then even after it was published, I was like, do I really want people to buy this and hear it? But people were ready for it. They were ready for it. And you will be amazed at the number of women of all shades and hues who reached out and said, I too have a story. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Let me tell you what happened to me. And others who, I support you and what you're doing, and I've watched things happen, and I feel bad that I didn't speak up, things like that. So I was so glad that I didn't listen to that little voice that said, I know you're not going to write that story and publish it.
I'm so glad you didn't either. Sharice, how about you? What was your process like? Did you see yourself finishing, starting and stopping?
Okay. So my process happened after the death of my mother. Right after I got from her funeral, I came home and started writing my book. I had the three most important people pass away on me right behind each other. My grandmother would raise me. My grandmother raised me as a child, and she passed November 5th, 2011. Then my father passes 2 weeks before my birthday, July the 14th of 2014. And then my mother passes 6 months later in January 2015. And I could hear him saying, I was sitting in the pew at my mother's funeral. And he says, now it's time for you to write your book. God said that plain as day, sitting there in her funeral, sitting there like, okay. It's God speaks to us in the most surprising ways. So when I decided, I come back home and I said, I'm gonna sit down and write this book. So I started from the beginning of childhood, what I could remember. And I stopped for 6 months. And then I started for 6 months. And I stopped for 6 months. And somebody asked to say, you finished the book yet? You've been working on it quite a long time. And this is what made me really get back into writing it. I had forgot all about. I turned around and posted the book on Amazon. For the 90-day thing. And then the thing said, yeah, your book, but the email came and said, yeah, your book published today. And I'm sitting there like, oh, let me take this down. Let me take this down and get busy with it, right? So that's how it came to be. And
wow.
and then from that process on, it's been a journey, and I've gotten amazing feedback with my book because, everybody say, oh, you're so brave to tell your story. You're so brave. And then they're like, how did you do it? And how I'm going through some stuff. And that's what I tell them. I said, look, child, write. Just write. I don't care if they just, like, you got the composition book. You write your story. You don't have to publish it, but you can leave it for your children to read in case they want to read. So true. That's why, and it was important to me to get that out there because I was freeing a lot of demons I was dealing with. So
well, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm sure you felt liberated after it was complete, right?
Yes, I did.
That's important.
I was like, ooh, I can't believe I wrote all this.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. Thank you. How about you, Kashana? What was your process like?
Well, honestly and truly, I never intended for poetry to be the first thing that I published. I'd always worked with like fiction, and I always knew I was going to write a novel, I was going to publish a novel. My first poetry book was actually an assignment from my therapist. I was going through some things, and she was like, "Well, have you been writing?" And I was like, "I just can't focus on my writing." She was like, "Well, here's a challenge for you. Write. It doesn't matter what it is, just write." So I started writing my poetry book, and before I knew it, I had pages and pages, and I was like, I actually finished something finally. What if I published it? And I was a nervous wreck, but I did it, and I got so many like messages from people on Facebook, on Twitter, saying, I can relate to this. I've gone through things like this, and I'm glad that you wrote it, and it made me feel good. And I was like, I'm gonna do it again. So I started writing my second poetry book, and like Tracy, I was using my phone, I was using paper and pencil, anything. Like sometimes it would hit me in the shower, and I'd be doing voice record in the shower. It was just a sporadic and chaotic process, but it worked.
Yes. And those things come together, just like life. We never have a straight, easy path. There's always bumps and curves and, all kinds of things, but it comes together. So I'm just grateful for each of you and what you're doing. I'd like to know, Well, let me read a few comments. Let's see. So Lisa, hi. Thank you for joining. Miss Jones, congratulations, ladies, she says with a lot of applause. Thank you all for tuning in. So what's next? I heard some of you kind of alluded to this. You already said there's something you're working on, maybe a second book, but can you share with us really quickly what upcoming projects do you have? And then also where can we purchase your books and follow you? And in any order.
Okay. Well, what I have next is a workbook to go with the book. And currently I'm in the editing proofreading process, and I'm trying to I'm gonna have it out by Christmas. I'm gonna proclaim that. I'm gonna have it out by Christmas. You can purchase my book on my website, www.sharicenjohnsonmoore.com, or you can go to Amazon. It's available on paperback and ebook and Goodreads.com and Barnes and Nobles. That is where you can find my literature.
Okay, thank you. And we'll also you'll make sure that it's in the chat as well on Facebook when you get a moment. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thanks so much.
All right.
So for me, there's a part 2 of Shut 'Em Down, and it will be released soon. It's called Everyday Struggles. It's also presented by Dr. Carrie Azeed, and it's an anthology, and several of the women who participated in this are also participating in Everyday Struggle. There are some very unique stories that are coming out that made me gasp, and the proverbial clutch my pearls. But also, I am a new columnist in a local magazine called Gulf Coast Woman, and I'm talking about the column there's the Caregiver's Corner. And I'm currently writing a book where I've pulled together my Saturday Facebook post that I've called #Saturday Senior Tips, where I offer tips and things that I've learned on my caregiving journey. I care for 2 very independent and vivacious parents who are both in their 80s, and they remind me and my brother that they are still our parents, even though we're doing parental work with them. So I talk about the funny things that happen, along the journey, and that helps us get through this very tough journey. So I'm finalizing the book for that, and I'm continuing to write and post things on Saturday. And I will be posting every month in the Gulf Coast Woman magazine. This is this month's magazine, and I'm on page 82 in there. And just
You're muted. I don't know how, but you went to mute.
I know how. I accidentally pressed the space button. But this Gulf Coast Woman, and I'm on 82 here. I can post the information about getting it. This is an awesome magazine. That's the article there. This is an awesome magazine dedicated to empowering and uplifting women. And I'm just honored to be asked to become a columnist about what I just freely write on Saturdays to, it's therapeutic for me, but I found that it's very, very helpful for others, those who are also on their caregiver's journey, those who have previously been on a caregiver's journey, and those who have started their journey and don't even know. The things that I've learned, I'm hoping that it's helping others to not make the same mistakes and to go about it in a more positive way, even though it's a very hard and sometimes daunting task, but laughter gets us through it. very much like Miss Kashana's book. So that's what I'm working on. I also have another book in between this that was Women Who Lead in Technology. Volume 4, I was the forward author there, and it may be something else coming as well, because I'm finding that I might just like this a little bit.
It sounds like it. It sounds like a great fit for you. Thank you so much, Miss Kashana.
All right. So I am gonna go ahead and go through with my fiction novel. It will be a murder mystery. It's called For the Sake of the Story. It'll be out hopefully next year, fingers crossed. But then I'm also working on the trilogy of my poetry book, and name is still to be determined. But if you can follow me on Instagram at I'm Not Okay Dupree, and I'll link that in the chat. And also, you can find my books on Amazon. And we are working on our website, but it will be PB&G Writes. It should be in the works soon as well.
Awesome. And did you tell us where to follow you, Tracy? Where are we following you as
I
well?
did not. Hold on, I'm turning that off. I am on Facebook at Tracy Daniel Hardy, and on Instagram, Dr. Tracy Daniel Hardy. On Twitter at Tracy Daniel H1. I'll put all that in the chat. And the book can be purchased, all the books can be purchased from my page, which is www.drdtracydanielhardy.com. And also in the usual outlets, Amazon, Goodreads, Barnes and Noble as well. So
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And as you're thinking about the topic of tonight's show and celebrating Black literacy, why is it important for us to celebrate Black literacy, in your opinion?
I feel like there's not a lot of people that look like us that get the recognition of being writers. And I think it is a beautiful thing that these two ladies with me have been doing, the topics that they are touching. I feel like our community needs that. And I feel like there's a lot of things our community doesn't touch on. And opening that conversation is exactly what we need to move forward and to progress.
Thank you. How about you? Why celebrating Black literacy, Ms. Sharice? Why is that important or necessary in your opinion?
Because I remember my grandmother and my grandfather used to tell me how hard they had to struggle to even get to school.
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing that really stuck with me as a child, because they used to give me this story all the time. I had to walk 25 miles in the snow, and I had to get to school, and I had but one dress to wear, and and then my granddaddy was, oh my God, he was off the chain with his thing about education, because he said he got, that's how it impacted me. He would not let me go outside. He said, "You do your homework. You do your assignment today. And then he would always tell me that's the one thing that stuck with me the best. Get an education, because that's the one thing they can't take from you."
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much.
So my response to that is that, we're often underrepresented, even when we're acknowledged. And because of that, I think it's very, very important that we let the world know, the world and the little Black and brown girls that are watching us, that we actually do have a voice and we have stories to tell, and those stories are uplifting and those stories are engaging and entertaining, and that we actually have great literary works that should be shared to the fine arts field. So I think that's important. If we don't speak up and speak out, then we will be continuously overlooked.
Yes. Definitely. And not only just for our girls, but also boys and our men as well. Such powerful voices that are often unheard and dismissed. So it's been great tonight. I appreciate all of you sharing your gifts with our guests. And I wanted to ask, because there was a theme here. A lot of it was speaking up, speaking out, and why so many are silent for so long. I wanted to present, and this is to anyone, why are we silent when we should speak?
I think we're afraid. We are afraid that what will happen to us. We're often hushed, or talked over. And we are afraid to be embarrassed by being hushed and talked over. And we just have to, sit up straight with our shoulders back and look them directly in the eye and say, you may try to shut me up, but I still got something to say, and find another way to say it, or just keep talking. Mm-hmm. And we fear stifles us. And when you decide that you're no longer going to be fearful, that you have something to say, somebody wants to hear what you have to say, what you have to say is important, then and you say a little prayer before you say it, you're going to get the courage that you need to say it, and you're going to be protected while you're saying it. And if it's not immediate protection like you think, it's going to be something later that's going to take care of you. So fear is a big reason why we don't speak up.
Yes, fear is definitely a big one. Any others? Why are we silent when we should speak?
Because we have been taught, like I said, been taught that. But God did not give us the spirit of fear. God did not give us a spirit of fear, and I talk about that all the time. And you need to free yourself. You might step on somebody's toes, but freeing yourself is more important than making other folks happy sometimes. And we got to get out of that stigma of who feelings I'm gonna hurt. I don't want to, hurt nobody's feelings. Excuse me, but God did not give us the spirit of fear, and you're telling your truth is freeing you. It's not for them, it's for you. It's to speak up for yourself. Stop, don't be in a shell. Don't put yourself in a shell. Don't confine yourself. And speak your mind, and the rest will follow.
Yes, thank you. What about you, Kashana? You want to touch on that?
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with what they said, and I also want to add the stigma behind it. Like, you don't want to be vulnerable. It's hard, and you also don't want that stigma. The angry Black woman. I hate that, but it's a thing that is stuck with us. When we speak out, when we're vocal, we're deemed as angry, loud. But we have a voice. We do have a right to be loud when we are being wronged.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And, and I'm thinking about, sometimes I feel like there's a point in your life where you just get tired of being silent and you're forced, to speak up for yourself. But I'm thinking too about your title, Sharice, and sometimes we just have to love ourselves enough to understand the value in us speaking, and whatever those consequences may be, whether it is you lost a job because you spoke up on your job, whether it be family turned away from you, or you told some secrets, or you said some things that should have been said but they didn't like it. But when we're comfortable with ourselves, and maybe it is that, we're having some mental struggles, as Kashana writes about in her poetry book, but it comes to a point where that value that you have, of course, for yourself and your own voice is, overpowering, overshadowing that need to, like you said, Sharice, make somebody else feel good, or even need them around. Because when you realize, look, I have to be real to me. And if I can't be the real me with you, then what do I need you for anyway? You know? So I think all of what you guys said has just been excellent. And I'm really hoping that people that are tuned in and that will even see the show in the future would really hear this message about not being silent, using your writing abilities, and even if you have to get some training, but writing things down that you need to discuss or that people need to know about, speaking out, um, uh, forming an alliance with other people to get things done. All of these things are necessary. And so kudos again to you ladies for just taking this step and doing this so you can liberate other people. I see that you're muted.
Thank
So
you.
I didn't know if anybody wanted to share anything.
Thank
Thank you to you for one, seeing us, acknowledging us, and encouraging us to keep doing what we're doing. We have to uplift each other. We have to see each other and acknowledge that we see each other, and that will encourage us to keep going and encourage other women. And as we move up, we just want to pull some more up,
Yes.
and encourage them to motivate and encourage others. So
Definitely.
platforms like this make it possible.
Mhm.
So thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. I appreciate that. And so as we're talking about lifting others up, I'm sure there are some people that has helped you along your journey. Now's the time where we can acknowledge those that you would want to shout out, who's been helpful or encouraging there for you.
Well, I'm going to say God. I'm going to say God.
Amen.
Because he done brought me a mighty long way. He brought me a mighty long way. And he cared about me when I didn't even care about myself.
Mm.
So that's my first acknowledgement. My second acknowledgement would be my grandmother and my grandmother, Lena Artist, and my father, Brandon Johnson and Margaret Barnes. And I want to, just thank my friend Earl Brown, who's been my best friend since I was 15. And he is, he's been my rock, and he's been more like he's been my brother through all of that. So, and I got a numerous list, but I'm not gonna go through that right now. Everybody, I love y'all and thank you. Who I didn't, say, but I want to just say thank you all, and thank you, Miss King, for allowing me to be a part of this conversation. Thank you so
You're so
much.
very welcome. You're so welcome. Thank you. Who we um who we want to acknowledge, Miss Kashana.
First and foremost, I would like to acknowledge Qualin and Jamel Rogers for allowing me to get to meet you because it has been an absolute honor to be here
Oh.
with all of you. And I would also like to thank Kenyatta Children, my best friend and my partner throughout all of this. She's been motivating me to keep writing, keep going, even when I feel like, oh, this is terrible, I want to stop. She's been like my rock and my emotional support through all of this. And my mom, of course. Hey, mom.
Love it. Awesome. It's good to have friends that are supportive for sure. Don't leave. How about
Um,
you?
For me, I want to acknowledge and publicly thank Dr. Carrie Yazid, who pulled both groups of ladies together, and just kind of encouraged me when I doubted myself, and suggested that, or told me, like, you have a story, you have a gift, and you should work, it. And she even had a little writing class that I participated in when I didn't even think I had a book that I wanted to write. And by the end of the session, I was like, oh yeah, I know what it is. And I don't know how she worked that thing, but she did. And of course, my parents and my husband and my brother, those are my biggest cheerleaders. And then I have an awesome small circle of girlfriends who encourage me to get out of my own way, who also encourage me to step outside of my comfort zone, my box, and to just take risks. And so I think that's important for you to have a diverse group of people, you know, around you, those who play it safe, those who take risks, those who don't care anything about rules at all, but they all encourage you, and you just kind of take bits and pieces from all of them and make it work. So I'm grateful for all of them. And of course, the Almighty God who makes all this possible. You know, sometimes I have to get out of my own way and just let him lead me, you know, because sometimes I'll get in there and try to tell him where I think I should go. And that don't ever work out.
No.
It never
Not
works
at
out.
all. Not at all. I love it. And thank you, McSmile, Samuel, and I can't pronounce your last name, so I'm not going to try, but thank you for tuning in. Everyone that is tuned in tonight, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting these lovely authors, and I hope that you will support them even further by purchasing their books. I hope that now you will begin to follow them and support them along their journey. um, when you said something, Tracy, and you said the types of friends that are needed, I think that was so special. Like, you know, some that don't break the rules, those that'll be safe, those or those that break the rules or don't care about the rules, those that are safe, and those that will take risks. That's such a good way to evaluate. Like, okay, I'm about to start doing that now. Like, let me see which friends I got in this category, and we're over there. You know, I appreciate that. Um, Another thing before we close, and as we're closing, I will say, someone, this is Kenyatta Childress. She says, powerful show and beautiful, talented writers. I couldn't agree with you much more, Miss Kenyatta. They are so beautiful. And I'm just like, oh, in awe with what you ladies are doing and how you contribute to those around you. Before you go, before we close out, I just want you to say really quickly in about 30 seconds or less, when readers read your book or your segment from your book, what do you want them to walk away with? 30 seconds or less.
Okay, I want them to walk away with seeing themselves in a new light. Seeing themselves in a new light and being motivated, and don't be scared to step out on faith.
Awesome.
For me, I want them to know they're not alone. No matter what you're going through, there's somebody else going through it with you. And there's always another answer. There's always another way. Don't give up. Keep reading, keep writing, keep loving life.
Love it. Love it. Thank you.
I want those who read my story to, one, my story will make you angry, to not stay angry, but let that anger fuel your, I hope that anger makes you feel brave enough to step up, you know, and if you don't have that seat at the table that you think, you know, you deserve, you know, work toward that. And don't let anybody tell you that you are not capable of doing it. If you feel like you are deficient in some areas, do what you need to do to fill those gaps and keep walking. Sometimes the no or the removal of the seat just means that that ain't the right table or it's not the right time.
Amazing. Thank you, ladies, so much. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you
You're
so much.
welcome. You're welcome. I definitely hope that you'll stay connected.
Yes.
I'm laughing because of what I said earlier, but I hope that you'll stay connected. I would love to watch your journey. I want to join your Facebook group. So if you'll send me, Tracy, your Facebook group as well. But however I can continue to support you all, ladies, just let me know. It's been a pleasure. Have a fantastic evening.
Okay.
Good night, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Night
Good
night.
night. Awesome, awesome. So again, just another dynamic opportunity and show. I hope that you were moved in some way, shape, or form. I hope that something that these ladies said um, not only stuck out to you or resonated with you, but also that it will cause you to do something different, that it will cause you to change your, whether it's your circle, whether it's what you've been doing, how you have been, excuse me, I don't want to report that. I don't know if you were able to see that. um, how you have been moving throughout life, just something. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of motivation, to move you into that next direction. And like Kashana said, to not give up, to continue, to know that there are other options, to know that something is still going well for you. So hopefully, again, you were inspired tonight. If you are a writer, I hope that you will continue to write. If you're gifted in another area, I hope that you will continue to use those gifts, to be impactful in others' lives. That's what it's all about, motivating one another, sharing our gifts, to make this world, of course, better, which is such a cliche, but we need a better world. And what way to do that than to give your light and your gifts to others? So we hope that you will tune in again on Wednesday, celebrating Black literacy. We hope that you will tune into Kids Talk Tuesdays, which is every fourth Tuesday of the month. And then also once a month, we have Authors Chat, and that's for authors of all backgrounds, ages, doesn't matter. But again, if you would need any type of publishing services or promotions or anything, you can check us out at www.kingspresspublishing.com. You can follow me here on Facebook. This is my personal page that you're watching from, but our business page is at the King's Press LLC, and then on Instagram at the King's Press LLC. I just want to hear from you. I just want to hear your story. I just want to know, even in the comments, if you can just let us know how you were impacted tonight, if you can continue to motivate and encourage these authors by giving them a kind word. And again, by supporting them, purchasing their books, following them along their journeys, and getting involved when you possibly can. I'm sure that you won't be disappointed. It has been a pleasure being here with you tonight. It's always a gift to me. And I want you to, again, stay connected. And more than anything else, continue to be a light in the lives of those that you are around, and then give love everywhere to everybody that you come into contact with. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope to see you again on Celebrating Black Literacy. Have a fabulous evening. Good night.